Hey, this is Matt with Let's Talk Music. I am here with singer-songwriter Jason Delismon, and you're joining us from Iowa this evening. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right, man. It's been a crazy evening. Got off work, didn't even have time to eat dinner. You're my third interview this evening. I had one at 8, 8:45, and 9:30.
Wow. Busy.
Yeah, well, I really can't complain. I love it. So, and as I can read, in your press release, that music has always been a lifelong passion of yours.
Absolutely.
So tell me about that, man. I mean, what was it that really got you into music?
Uh, my stepdad years ago saw him, playing drums and that's where I really, realized like I got to do that. There's a lot of energy in it and just hearing the music and the old classic rock bands he'd play along with. I was like, man, I can really get into something like that.
Yeah. So, what? I mean, now you play guitar, correct?
Yeah, I play pretty much all the instruments. Um, the single that I recorded, I did in my own studio. So I did a lot of the instrumentation and vocals and drums.
Nice. Let me. I just lost your press release. I'm sorry. Like I said, this is my third one. It's been crazy. Okay, there we go. So you're kind of just a one man band.
Yes. Currently, I came from other bands, touring as a drummer. And then I did, some drum teching for some national bands. Um, and then branched off and did my own band that I had behind me, Frontline. And then, currently just been writing and doing my own solo stuff that I wanted to release. So I figured I'd branch off and, you know, kind of do the Dave Grohl, and just that's who inspired me really big time to step outside behind the drum set and go up front. And I mean, after seeing him and seeing what he did with Foo Fighters, it was just such an inspiration.
Yeah, he definitely went big with that one.
Oh yeah.
So Hard to Breathe, the new single. Um, really enjoyed the song. When the press release was sent to me, I always listen to the song first before I read it, just kind of get a feel for things. And really did enjoy it. But so can you tell me a little bit about it? What's behind the meaning of the song?
The meaning of the song is basically, anybody who's, dealt with losing a loved one or somebody close, whether it be, just general passing or somebody, to suicide or depression. So I basically, I've lost several friends to either, all different types of it. So I wanted to really pay homage to that and wrap my head around it and um, just express, a lot of things that were bottled up in different situations and kind of turn it into a song that was heartfelt.
Okay. So do you feel like that was uh let's say therapeutic for you?
Absolutely. Like writing in general is to me, it's like a live music journal. No matter, depending on what you're feeling, what you're going through, I like to um, channel that through music without putting a topic to what my vision or song is about, and kind of let the listener draw their own conclusion and maybe have it help them get through a situation. You
Yeah.
know,
And that's I mean that's really how music just basically how it works. I mean, I was just talking with, the first band that I talked to that was she said, I wrote this song this way and somebody had did a review on it and their interpretation was completely different than what, I wrote it about, but I really enjoyed what they thought of it.
right,
And, it's when you listen to a song, you kind of get in your head with it. You know what I mean? You're like,
right,
okay, does it mean this? Does it mean that? And it's like, I brought it up to them. I said, the first time I ever heard for, Master of Puppets from Metallica, I thought it was, something to do with the devil or whatever. Come to find out it was about, cocaine abuse.
right.
And so, I mean, I really think that that's one of the great things about music is that, it's when you write something, you put it down on paper, and as you said, it's therapeutic for you because you've lost people from this or other things, and when you put it out, it might mean something to somebody else that's therapeutic to them. And
Absolutely.
that's one of the great things about music is that it really does help a lot of people through some tough times.
Yeah, and that's why I thoroughly enjoy doing music. It's therapeutic for myself, but I also like to, have the fans and the outside listener, kind of have it lift them up in some way or help them out.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's that's awesome. That's what it's all about, dude. I mean, and I think the industry is coming back around to that.
Right.
I think there for a while it was lost. I want to say, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, so I'm not going to. But there was a lot of cookie cutter,
Yeah.
manufactured music, and I feel like with the independent artists and a lot of the DIY bands, they're getting back to the roots of back in the day when there was blues and jazz.
Uh,
They're getting back to the here's my feelings, and people are eating it up.
right. Absolutely. I feel music has to be feeling, not robotic, and exactly like you said, there are, different types out there and, for to each their own, but I like emotion. I like I like bands like Led Zeppelin or bands where you could feel the music. You know what I mean? It's not so sterile.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and you bring up Led Zeppelin. I mean, if you could not feel, you know, Robert, Jimmy, John, and John, there was something wrong with you.
Right.
I
100%.
mean, especially John Bonham. I mean, that dude smashed on a drum set like nobody.
Yeah, that's who got me into drums. Like intriguing as well. Besides my stepdad, is just seeing somebody being able to do the things he did with one single kick drum pedal.
Oh
That a
yeah,
lot of people have to use double bass or other things. It was impressive.
I'll tell you what, man. If you really if you still love drumming, check out an old video of Black Sabbath War Pigs. Bill Ward has like maybe a 5 to a 7 piece and plays it on that
Wow.
in the video. And you're thinking when you hear that song, because I've seen like cover bands and stuff do it, and this guy's got this huge elaborate set,
Right.
and I seen that video and I'm like, are you shitting me? This is an original video from that song. And I'm like, my God, you know, it
That's
just
awesome.
yeah. And I mean, it was them guys back then. I mean, like,
They
Bill
were
Ward,
ahead of their time, man. you
yeah.
know,
Keith
they were,
Moon, I mean, was another one that, God rest his soul. The dude was, out of control, but he
yeah.
control on them drums too, man. He
Yeah.
was a bad
He was
mofo.
creative, where you generally put like Tom hits, he put a snare and vice versa. It was very creative the way he approached drums.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I mean, I remember actually can't remember if I heard it or if I read it, but they was talking about John Bonham, and they was talking about when they were in the studio, and they said you could always tell who made the mistake because it was never John Bonham. John Bonham was like a perfectionist. You could tell if it was Jimmy Page or John Paul Jones.
Right.
You knew it wasn't John Bonham. So, but yeah, man, I mean, that's cool that you put all the feeling into it like that. And you're just let's see, the single was produced and mixed at Groovetown Studios. Is that in Chicago?
Oh, that's my studio where it started off in Chicago, but it's out here
I
now.
see
And
it now. They're
yeah. But
uh
yeah, it's basically it was awesome being able to push myself to step into different hats and to see how different elements of the song and the creative process and how it all comes together. You know, going through all the motions and wearing the different hats is it was very challenging, for the
Oh, I
song,
bet.
but at the end of the day, something to be very proud of, to push yourself, and anybody who's doing it, just push yourself and don't ever give up. That's kind of how I approach my own, solo stuff now in my studio as well. So you
So
got to do it every day.
how long have you had the studio?
The studio, I've been probably for the last 8 to 10 years. I've always loved, recording, and throughout the years, it just generally kept progressing, and I kept, getting different gear and experimenting. And I want to say during COVID, when all that craziness was happening, I utilized the time wisely. When you're just, you're at home, I'm like, okay, I got the gear. I want to step it up and utilize me being home more than normal because of work and all that. So I did a lot of, online stuff and hands on, and just took it from there and decided, I want to bring it to life.
Awesome. So do you have any kind of like mixing or production um education, or is it just self-taught?
Self taught, and I have a couple mentors, out of Chicago. Tomac and another gentleman, Jordan Pop. They're just great engineers. My buddy Evo has helped me a lot. Just anybody that I'm surrounded with, as far as musicians or somebody that has audio engineering, I'd pick their brain. I would absorb like a sponge. I would say, hey, how do you do this? And then run back to the studio and apply it. So it's been an awesome journey so far.
So I'm sitting here looking at this, and it says that you was in a band called Heavy the Fall, produced by Charlie Benetti.
Charlie Benante, yeah, that was back 07, 08. That was a unbelievable experience, man. That's back when I was, drumming and behind the kit.
Right.
Having somebody like Charlie's caliber drumming, it was awesome, and it was nerve wracking as well. When I knew he was standing at a show watching what you're doing, I was always like, oh my god, what is he thinking, man? Am I, does he think it's good? You know what I mean? So it
Oh,
was
I
uh
bet.
it was
And
awesome, man.
what do you think about him out there with Phil and Rex doing
I
that?
think he is doing an incredible job. He's definitely, Charlie's always been great friends with the Abbott brothers. So and so is Zach in that. So I mean, picking the right, elements, they did a great job because, you know, they were great friends. And then, Charlie is a perfectionist too. He did his homework and really stayed true to Vinny's parts. And I mean, let's face it, Charlie's a monster too, man. He just, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
He's
I've seen
perfect.
Anthrax a few times.
Yeah, he's perfect for the spot. He's a genuine down to earth dude. So it's kick ass to see. You know.
Yeah, man, at first I had mixed feelings about it because
Yeah, same. But after
I've
seeing
seen the
it, man.
original Pantera, and I'm glad that I did get to see them.
Yeah.
That was an experience that, and what's crazy is they were actually opening up for Skid Row.
Oh wow,
Yeah, Skid Row was on the Slave to the Grind tour, and I want to say Pantera was on Vulgar Display of Power.
that's
So,
crazy.
but
That
it
had a cool show, man.
and they were like the best of friends too. There's actually a video out there called Vulgar Display of Video that's just like different backstage angst and stuff like that, and it's hilarious. But like they show this where them and Skid Row are playing like some kind of baseball game. Uh, it was like a charity or whatever, and I mean they were really good friends, and yeah, it was. Man, Dime was killed right here in my hometown, and that was just the
That
craziest
was
shit.
tragic, man. That was tragic.
Yep. And now that venue's gone.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, man. That's got to be traumatic, especially anybody who attended local. That would.
Mhm.
It's
Yep.
just it's crazy.
Yeah, it ran for probably what's about another 10 or 15 years. I mean, it had been around forever. And I mean, like the Gods used to play there all the time. There's all kinds of bands that, I seen Corn there before they got big.
Wow.
And um, it was just, I guess it was the owner, he didn't want to deal with it anymore, and they tore it down and built an apartment complex. And I feel like, I should have went up there when they were tearing it down and at least got like a piece of wood or something from it, because I had seen so many concerts there, and the fact that one of the most devastating days in music history happened there. I feel like I
Yeah,
should have had some kind of memorabilia from it.
absolutely. Yep.
I mean, you that you had the whole John Lennon thing, and Mark David Chatfield, a fan shooting him outside of his apartment, but it wasn't a dude rushing the stage and going crazy like that. And
Yeah, man.
yeah, I almost hate to even mention that I'm from Columbus sometimes because of that to other musicians, because I'm like, yeah, they're like, oh, that's where Dimebag was killed. Yeah, no shit, you know.
Yeah. Don't
So
remind me.
right, right. I've been to that venue a million times, and it's like, no crazy. I don't even think I even ever seen a fight there.
It's
And then
crazy.
that kind of happens. I was like, man. So what? I mean, at what age, man, did you realize? You told me you started out in the drums and listening to
In
your
high
dad
school.
high
Yeah.
school.
High school's where I started, you
So
know.
how old are you now?
Now I'm 43.
Okay, so about 20 something years,
Yeah.
not 30, getting there. Yeah, I feel you, buddy. I'm 46.
I've been doing this for a while, man.
So, but you love what you do, right?
Absolutely. 100%. I wouldn't change it for the world.
And you know what they say, right? If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
100%. Amen to that.
Of course, we got normal jobs, so
Yeah, we won't talk about that. This is what's fun right here.
right, right. So, what's the next step, man? I mean, you can release another single in the near future.
Absolutely. Yep. I'm looking, every 6 weeks or so I want to put out new music and just keep everything rolling. I got another one in the works, that I'll be releasing here very soon. I'm just doing the finishing touches on it. So once that gets done, then I'll release that as well. But prior to this, I put out my first single, Gone Away, back in October of 22, and then followed up with this Hard to Breathe. So
Which
just
was
gonna keep the train rolling. Yep.
January of 23.
Yeah. So
Okay.
basically, I want to just keep putting music out there and trying to gain traction and do some shows and travel and try to get it back out there again. Gain some fans and following for the solo stuff.
Well, you gained a fan here, buddy, because like I said, I really enjoy the Hard to Breathe. That was a good song. And you said the prior one was what?
It was called Gone Away, which is also available on all the platforms as well.
Okay, I'll have to check that one out. Um, like, so is this part of a an EP release or an LP release? I mean,
I'm just releasing digital singles for now. Once I get a good batch of songs, then I'll probably release an EP at some point, and then do a couple more digital singles, and then maybe do a full length digitally.
mm-hmm.
I don't really have a, I'm not really trying to get stuck on one thing. I'm just continuously writing and putting the music out there, and just feeling what the way I'm going to put it out. But definitely digitally, because that's the way of the world now. All digital. Even though I like old school CDs and I like to see where stuff was recorded, unfortunately, those days are coming to an end.
No, man, and well, vinyl's making a comeback.
Oh, vinyl's awesome. I would love one day to release a full length and just have a vinyl, even if it's a short run. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, yeah. One of my favorites were tapes.
Oh
I
yeah,
I, I loved cassette tapes, man. I've mentioned it to a few bands I've talked to. I see, you get the tape, you take the cellophane off of it, you put the freaking tape in, you hit play, and then you open the jacket and start reading
yeah,
it.
100%. Yep, that's definitely old school. I love that. I got a couple here in the studio somewhere. I got the Motley Crue and Anthrax and that on cassette one of the my one other band, ADD, when we were traveling. We went through, I think we were playing a show in Danville, and they had like a comic book. It was in a comic book place, like attached was the venue, and they had like old cassettes. And of course, I nerded out, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna grab a couple cassettes. These are vintage, so I grabbed about 10 of them, like a buck a piece. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Dude, I'll tell you, the one that I had that I really just wish I could find or get back or whatever, because it's out of print, is Metallica Garage Days Revisited, the 598 EP.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was the first actual album that Jason Newsted did after joining, you know, with Master of Puppets once Cliff died. But
Wow.
yeah, it's got the four of them in this room where they're like all kind of huddled together, and it was literally $5.98, and
Wow.
it was all cover songs. So
Wow.
it was really cool. I wish I could find that again, but man, it's like I said, it's out of print. And I've actually seen where it's selling for like in the wrapper still for like 250 $300.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. I love that, but I'm not gonna pay
Right,
that.
right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so but yeah, man, I mean it's the digital age, and it's for people of our age, and especially myself. I'm very nostalgic. um I really do miss the cassette tapes. I miss the CDs. I miss, I remember sitting at a stoplight fumbling through shit trying to play, the next CD or the next tape.
Yeah.
I remember waiting up at night for Headbangers Ball.
Yep.
I mean, it's kids today just they don't get it, man. It's always, this.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's like, man, you live inside this little ass screen. We got these 80-inch TVs. I mean, could you imagine watching Headbangers Ball on an 80-inch TV?
That's like a dream.
Right. It'd be like a damn movie theater, with a great Bose surround sound or something, man. Shit.
Yeah.
I'd be in heaven. My wife would fucking hate me. She'd probably, throw
Just turn the volume up louder and say, I can't hear you, honey. Hold on.
yeah, her volume gets very loud. So
Yeah.
but I mean, and honestly, and it's I've said it in other interviews, so people are gonna hear me repeat myself. She's the reason I do this.
Awesome.
You
Same
know,
with my wife. My wife's a huge inspiration and pushed me, even before the kid, when I got out from behind the kid, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm going to check. I'm telling you, you should do that, and I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot, and I've been hitting it ever since.
yeah, and I mean sometimes their nagging pays off.
Right?
Now I mean, honestly, is like, I'm like I said when we was first started talking, it's a lifelong passion for you. Music is a lifelong passion of my own. I don't play it, but I love it. I listen to it. I love talking to people about music. That's why I do this. That's why I call it Let's Talk Music. Because I like to touch on what you're doing, what your future plans are, where you started, this and that. But I just like to talk to other people that are into music like I am. And that was really her whole thought of this thing. She says, I'm not into music like you are. So, why don't you start a blog? Well, I started out, with a little blog, and then, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to develop a website. And then I was like, okay, now I'm going to, start doing interviews. And I mean, in the past year, I've done like 150. And I mean, honestly, dude, I mean, I can sit there and go like this through the emails that I have from publicists like all over the world. And it freaking blows my mind.
It's awesome, man.
I mean, I've got bands lined up. I got a band lined up on Sunday from Russia,
Cool.
Finland. I just booked one with a band from Australia. They're 16 hours ahead of us. So I'm gonna be doing this at 8 o'clock at night on a Friday. It's gonna be noon on a Saturday for them.
Right.
But it's freaking amazing, dude. I mean, it's music is just it's so universal, and to be able to check out all these bands because of these publicists that I would have never heard of. Like I would have never heard of you if it wasn't for Shauna,
Right.
and she's one of the ones that really got me started. Her and a dude that's actually in Iowa named Tom with Tag Publicity. It was two of their bands. I did interviews. I don't know if you've ever heard of Boba Flex.
Oh yeah, but I've done a lot of tour dates with them with my old band. A
Okay,
great
so
band.
they got a new band called the Lonely Ones.
Yep.
And that's one of Shauna's bands. And I did an interview with Jimmy, the bass player. Well, he plays guitar now, but I did an interview with Jimmy, and she called him up, said how'd it go. He said it went great, this and that, and bam, she just started hitting me with other bands. And then Tom, we started with South of Eden, which was a band called Black Coffee based out of Columbus here, and then they changed their name, and it's it has, man. It's been a lovely ride. I mean, it sometimes I'm like, God bless. It's too much to handle because I'm honestly, I thought I only had two interviews tonight, and this band hits me up like, "Are we still on for 8 o'clock?" And I'm like, "Shit!" I'm looking through my schedule. I'm like, okay, the next one's day 4 or 5. Yep, we can do it. So, but it's fun, man. I really enjoy it. I love talking to people like you. I love talking to people that just that it's a passion.
100%.
It's not, it's, I feel like, again, let's go back to the early metal days of the 80s and 90s with MTV. Them guys were on there doing interviews with Ricky Rackman and whoever else, they were, kicking stuff around, and they were being that image that they were supposed to portray. You know,
Right.
now it's people talking about their emotions and how they feel and what music means to them. And as much as I'd have loved been in that studio when you had Motley Crue in there tearing shit up and everything else,
Uh,
you know I'm just as happy doing this. you
oh
know
yeah. Still around it, you're still meeting a lot of people and sharing stories. I mean, that's awesome. And it's your passion, and you just keep rolling, man. That's if you feel it and it's what you love to do, that's you just keep doing it, and meeting great people.
yeah, and I mean that's like I feel like this has done a lot for me. It's been therapeutic for me. It's like before I was so close-minded. I was my hair bands, a little bit of new metal, whatever, but I didn't venture off too far. And now I'm like, okay, you can't be like that if you want to do this. But I mean, I've opened up my ears and my mind, and just experienced so much cool music and met so many cool people. I mean, it's so funny to talk to somebody from Scotland. I talked to this guy from a band called Heavy Pettin' that was back in the day, and he's like, you know, I said, we're gonna get it started. He said, awesome sauce, in this Scottish voice. I'm just like, it's so fun, man. But Jason, I really do appreciate, everything that you're doing. And you know, we whenever you get out and about, being in Iowa, you're not too far from Columbus. You should head over here, man.
Oh yeah.
We'll do a live one, and would love to see your show, man. I mean, I feel like, but that's another thing. As being a one man band, do you have friends or enlisted musicians that are going to go out on the road with you?
I have, my I had two guests in this song. My old keyboardist, I told you, I had a band Frontline. Diane played on the keys, and then Alex did the bass. So I definitely, I have the guys from Frontline in Chicago that, if things progressed, and, they would back me, I believe 100%, and come out and play live, so I have a band behind me. But in the beginning, I'll probably book some shows and do, play acoustic guitar and sing and give it that, unplugged vibe for a minute and just get the feelers out there and then start playing the live. Bringing the whole band out.
So have you done any at all yet with the new material?
With the new material, no, not the two songs that I've done, but I have other stuff out there. Like I said, the band that I fronted, Frontline, that I formed as well. That stuff I've played numerous places and played with national acts and all that. But these songs I had in the the pot for a while, and finally brought them to life. So at some point I will um, perform with them. You know,
Okay.
get a good couple set, get a couple covers together, and just so people can be familiarized because being a new artist solo, and then just keep going. See what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get some material out there before you can get on stage and play it. I mean, you can't get up there and play two songs and say, "Okay, good night."
Yeah, right. No, yeah, I got to get the material ready and be rehearsed with it, and then test the waters and go out there and see what people think.
So, just one final question, man. You seem like a very passionate and down to earth guy. Um, what is your creative inspiration? What is your like when you're sitting down with a pad of paper and a pen and you're thinking about writing a song? What is your process like?
um like how I or like put it together,
Yeah,
when I
how do you take what's in your head and put it on paper and make it into, hard to breathe?
I just get involved in the song. I orchestrate, get the music going, and then I would sit back and just think of situations or things that I've been involved in that would help me, like, open up the arrangement of the vocal or the chorus or whatever, the way I'm going to formulate it. I feel it, and I just write a bunch of different feelings that are coming to mind at that very second, whatever and I'll put them all down. And then, when I'm writing melodies or whatever, I will just, hum certain words with the melodies and just kind of experiment until it feels natural, you know, whatever melody I wrote, and it just starts generally molding and coming together naturally. It's crazy. I can't even explain it. It's almost like magic. It just starts. This part makes sense. Now this one, before you know it, it's turns into a full orchestrated piece.
Right. And I mean, that's everybody's creative process is different. And especially when, I mean, I, I think yours is, because you're solo, you can do your own thing. You don't have to worry about what this person is thinking and what this person's orchestrating. And, when you listen to bands, they'll say, okay, well, they lay down the tracks and then, I'll come in with the lyrics. Or, other guys are like, okay, I do the lyrics and then I also do the musical arrangement and this and that. I mean, I think that, you know, it's almost magic is probably one of the best explanations I've heard. I like that.
Yeah, it's just for I'll write the music, and then being a drummer, just like Dave Grohl does the same thing. When I write guitar riffs, I think of a drummer.
Mhm.
So they're like chops. So like when I'm writing parts, or I think of it dynamically, like, how can I approach that different than you would normally, a normal guitar player would, or but I generally write the music, and then I'll just sit there with headphones and write whatever comes to mind depending on what I'm going through. And then I'll ask advice from my cousin Mark or my wife, and they'll get involved because my wife helps me write as well. And we'll all bounce the ideas off each other, and they give me their honest feedback, and I just take it from there.
Well, hats off to you and your cousin and your wife because you guys are doing a great job.
Awesome, man.
So, all right, Jason. Well, I will talk to you later, buddy. Thank you for being on, and I'll get your interview up here soon. And I think I'm about ready for bed. I'm about talked out.
Awesome, man. Well, I hope to do this again soon in the future, and maybe next time it'll be in person, man.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, dude. And just Keep doing you because you're doing a great job.
I really appreciate it, man. You as well, bro.
All
Nice
right, man.
meeting you.
You too.
Later, bro.
Later.